Добрый день, уважаемые участники сегодняшней панельной дискуссии. Я рада приветствовать всех, кто сегодня нашел время и проявил интерес к сегодняшней сессии. Просто хотела сказать, что вчера было обсуждение, и любая панельная сессия, где есть слово «женщина», почему-то у нас в зале собираются в основном только женщины. Поэтому, я думаю, на будущее такой тренд должен быть. Мы должны убирать это слово «женщина», потому что МСБ сегодня это ключевое слово для устойчивости любой экономики, для устойчивости любого общества.
For any society, this is important. We are not talking about gender here. This is common for all of us. This is main driver of the economy. Allow me to name the topic of our session. Visa is our general partner of the Astana Finance Days, and today's session is titled Strengthening SME sector in Kazakhstan through the involvement of women. One of the priority areas of Visa is supporting women entrepreneurs in the Central Asian region, including in Kazakhstan. Allow me to introduce to our participants our guests and speakers of this session. Let me start with me. My name is Lazat Ramazanova. I am the member of the Majlis of the 7th Convocation. I have several additional obligations. I'm deputy chair of the Committee on the Affairs of Women. Under the President of Kazakhstan, one of the key priorities is environment and entrepreneurship. I also work with the Atamaken Entrepreneurs Chamber, and I am chair of the Environmental Initiative Association titled EcoGer. Let me introduce our guests. Asem Nurgaliyeva, Executive Director of the First Credit Bureau and Techno Women Association. Could you please stand up so we could see you? Kristina Dorosh, Vice President and Regional Director of Visa in Central Asia and Azerbaijan. And now I'd like to step aside and say that today we should have had a gender disbalance during our panel session because we were waiting for Madam Shaykhmetova, Madam Bulibaeva, but due to their absence, this session is generally balanced, and I'd like to thank the first heads of these two organizations for these two men who are here with us today. Mr. Sartayev, Deputy of the chair of Halyk Bank, Ayman Kasimova, the head of the program for consultation of small business of EBRD. Let's call the names right. And Mr. Iskakov, deputy chair of the Damu Entrepreneurship Development Fund, GSC. We will continue our discussions in this format. First, I'd like to tell to our participants that Visa connected with all the women entrepreneurs in Kazakhstan, and you've been to several regions in person and did upgrade. That is why we want to show you a video which was prepared specially for today's discussion. Please, the organizers, could you please turn on video? Is it difficult to do business in Kazakhstan for women? What do you think? Business isn't easy to do for anyone, especially for women. Especially, it is difficult to find for women the balance that is needed to be distributed between work, family, and social responsibilities. I believe that it's more difficult for women to achieve success in business in Kazakhstan, but it depends on industry. I think that sometimes it's easier for women than for men because we have this natural flexibility as women. In my opinion, there are two factors that contribute to it, that will continue contributing to the mass engagement of women in business. First is educational factor. Women need to be educated professionally to business competencies. And the second important factor is financial factor. Without support of financial institutions of the government, it is impossible for women to achieve success in business. I think it's raising awareness is important. The more we talk about the success of women entrepreneurs, the more we learn about them and that they are here, they are in Kazakhstan, so I think it's beneficial for all women.
Открыть курсы, чтобы освоить новые.
To acquire new professions and start earning money, simplify the tax code for female entrepreneurs, and not only just female entrepreneurs, but SME in general, to make it all digital so that everything could be done from a smartphone. To be assured of yourself, to deny fear. It's an Oriental country, and we are raised in a different way. And I think with more self-assuredness, many women would become entrepreneurs. Without digital technology, without innovation, without universal digitalization, it's impossible to work in business. We face it every day. And we are especially grateful to the banking sector. We use the banking instruments that make it easier to implement business ideas. In IT, in finance, digital helps not only female business, but SMEs. In the eon of digital technology, you can't but deal with some business. You can use your smartphone to fully do your financial part, your financial accounting and payments using your smartphone, banking apps, and so on. Being one click away from tax declaration, tax payment, thus growing and developing our businesses and creating new jobs. Thank you so much, Visa. Within those 3 days, within the course of these discussions, the topics that have been covered in this video are really interesting. We see that there is special attitude towards women. In this connection, our women entrepreneurs, they face a variety of challenges, and I have learned about them from the videos. I was supposed to be one of the speakers, so I'll do my best to make my statements in between our panelists. According to the recent research by McKinsey, women in economy working equally with men would add to the world economy by 2025 $28 trillion to world's GDP, which is 11.26% higher. Growth of GDP by 9% in Eastern Europe, Central Asia, Near East, and North Africa. At the same time, we permanently talk about the need to entrench and expand the prominence and position of SME in economy of any scale. But we cannot forget about inclusivity on this path. I was at one of similar sessions where we discussed the peculiarities of Kazakh small and medium business. Kazakhstani SME is mainly headed by females, 70%. 43% of entrepreneurs in Kazakhstan are led by women, but there is a certain disbalance. Kazakhstan is energy intensive and carbon intensive as an economy, and our GDP is mainly shaped by extracting businesses and large businesses. Therefore, the picture that we see is not really bright. It's not really bright in general, as I assess it, but there are growth prospects in terms of inclusivity, in terms of representation of women. Therefore, I would like to share the recent trends. They are being promoted at the governmental level, like 30% of decision makers in quasi-state sector, 30% of Kazakhstani economy. And this cohort of women must strive to take leading positions in the political promotion. We, as a country with, let's say, not only the post-Soviet country, but generally the Eurasian country that has been quite aggressively promoting the female mainstreaming. 30% here in political mandates is the closest threshold that a woman is aspiring for, that a woman may get to using social lifts. Therefore, we are expecting a specific impetus from the centers of female entrepreneurship supports that have been opened in 17 regions, supported by the instruction of the head of state. But we anticipate opening 4 new centers, so 20 resource centers. Those are the excellent centers, the epicenters of knowledge and growth points for female entrepreneurship. We may be talking about challenges, but the major challenge for SME, female SME, is the fear of transitioning from micro to small, from small to medium. And this challenge is about the presence of certain gender stereotypes. Unfortunately, not in women. Those gender stereotypes are embedded in every person, whether conscious or unconscious. And this is the ice that we want to break. This is the myth that we want to disrupt. Because historically, Kazakhstani steppe has seen many examples that at no time in its history there have been any pressure on women's rights. But considering today's reality, considering the citizen media that is being developed, by the way, I would like to congratulate all of the media representatives here on their professional holiday. So we hope that this 4th branch of power will start finally ruling using certain standardization methods. Citizen journalism is really great, but in any profession, in any sector, there must be certain standards, and I think that standards must be here too. So we hope that the active elucidation and proper positioning of female entrepreneurs will contribute a proper historical pattern to the development of our community. Today, we would like to focus on female SME, what we lack, what are our advantages. So let me start passing the floor to our speakers. I will deviate a little bit from my plan, and I will start directly with you, Christina. You are sitting next to me. We have just watched the video. This is a draft video, our homework for today's event. It's a great honor for me to be moderating this panel session today. We understand that SME development in digitalization EON will be supported by many tool sets. A lot has been told today about digital platform, new IT opportunities. The 4th IR panel session has just ended before us. And I think in our case, it's mainly fears than rather than challenges. Therefore, I would like to listen to the global player's opinion on this. The global player that is treading lightly into this new female inclusive economy. Christina, the floor is yours. Thank you so much, Lizat. First of all, let me thank you for your consent to moderate the session. This is a great honor for us. We are really happy to cooperate with you. As for small and medium business development, in general, for Visa, this is a global strategic priority because we all understand how this class of any economy, of any state, influences the prosperity of individuals, households, families, and the economy as a whole, especially such countries as Kazakhstan that are quite dependent on heavy industry, oil and gas extraction. So diversifying from oil and gas from the perspective of economic development is one of the key strategic priorities for Kazakhstan. And this morning at the plenary session that took place first thing in the morning, that was the keynote. And it was interesting for me to hear how diversification in all its meanings in terms of structural development of economy, more prominent role of SME, how important it is for Kazakhstan as a state. And namely in such countries, Visa's work on SME support is gaining more and more prominence. We are a payment company, and we cannot change everything at once. Our preference is to eat an elephant by pieces. Therefore, we can work with SME in the areas where we can do that: development of digital payments, acceptance of cashless payments, using non-cash funds. From our point of view, and this point of view is supported by statistic research, the process of expanded use of cashless payments by small and medium businesses means better access to finance, expansion opportunities for businesses with greater efficiency, and as the pandemic showed, the issue of survival of SME companies depends on the extent of the companies to efficiently accept payments and pay themselves in electronic form. I am sure you have seen that in your everyday life. Think about an SME you're interacting with, you're buying something from. My favorite example is coffee. Next to my home, there is a coffee shop. Before the pandemic, I never thought that I could use some different type of payment. I would go to this kiosk, pay my coffee, and pay for my coffee in cash because card payments were inconvenient. You need to, rummage in your purse, find your wallet, take out several banknotes, and pay. After the pandemic, I have taken a totally different approach to that. I never take out my money, even with such small payments. And this is one of the vivid examples of SME. The fact that this SME gave me the opportunity to pay with my watch, or phone, or ring, because they have post terminal or tap to phone. And another step forward, that this SME, small coffee shop, can create its own app. I have this app. I downloaded that as their permanent customer. I used the application. They followed the example of Starbucks. Many coffee shops copy that. I ordered it, I paid for it, and I took it passing by. This is a small example that shows vividly that without expanding those opportunities, without leveraging those technologies, small business is doomed, if I may. Those companies who cannot learn to do that, they won't be able to survive. Therefore, Visa is taking all possible efforts to ensure that all of those technologies and innovation solutions would be available to everyone, both consumers and SMEs. Therefore, we are not distinguishing, we are not making any divisions between male and female efficient products, because there are efficient and non-efficient banking products. But we are convinced that female entrepreneurship needs support, specific support, more specific than the enterprises led by males. And indeed, it is due to the cultural features, customs, traditions, and mentality, because consciously or unconsciously, we are the carriers of gender bias. And very often, women and girls, they ask themselves if they can, because they fear that they won't be able to do something. And this point of view is mainly imposed on them by the community. Will I be able to run my business and be a family woman, be a mother? Understanding these features, specifics of female entrepreneurship, Visa is conducting a global initiative that was launched several years ago in the United States. Now it is conquering the world. In this respect, I'm a happy person because, you know, when something that's so important and significant for you, you can do at work, this is really important. For me, it is really important to help women who have their own businesses, providing them with resources for collaboration, inspiration, education. This is something that we do as a company under our initiative, She's Next, empowered by Visa. And this initiative has been subject in Central Asia and Azerbaijan in 2021. A great launch, you have seen it from the video, and there are two main conclusions.
What does it take to develop the female entrepreneurial activity? Education and inspiration, as well as support. So those factors are the key drivers for our company and our program. And we had quite interesting webinars based on those principles, available for men and women both. And during those activities, business experts shared with women and men experiences from making the company, assessing the competitive environment, etc., etc. Some of the webinars were dedicated to how to manage your time, how to coincide the family and the work together. All those pretty important affairs were discussed, and we shared our knowledge generously with the users. That program was of great use. And the second compound to it, the inspiring one, we called it Dialects of the Strong. It was under the aegis of the Forbes magazine. Successful business women shared their experience, the hardships they faced, how they overcame them. They told how to set up a business, how to run it, how not to be afraid of it. And I got a small theory about that. Looks like you cannot but not fear the business. Fear is something you cannot overcome and defeat. And to my understanding, those leadership examples tell us how to be afraid but do things at the same time. This is something that we want to add to the lives of entrepreneurial women, to be afraid but to move ahead nevertheless. So this year we're unwinding this program in a number of countries, and you're all welcome. Thank you. Wonderful. Basically, we women might be afraid but not broken. Let's discuss the next topic. You see, I'm a strict teacher. I got a request, and because we have had some of our time lost, please be very brief while expressing your opinion. Asem Nurgalieva, next question goes to you. The active commissioning of women into IT and small and medium businesses. So today we know 29% are women in business activities all over the world. IT industry is the least where women are represented. So what are the obstacles? Thank you very much. I think if Christina has discussed already measures to support the small and medium business, that is quite important because there are a lot of talented women and girls in the IT sector. It's quite an objective picture. There are not a lot of women in the IT sector, and that's natural because engineering disciplines have all been occupied by men. We are mothers. We have daughters, and what do we tell our daughters? Your main life objective is to have a successful marriage, successful personal life. And if we go to provinces of Kazakhstan, that principle there is more explicit, more widely manifested, if I may use it to be politically correct. So we should start from ourselves. As mothers, we are not supposed to be afraid to send our daughters to engineering institutes. IT possesses the future. This is something we need to understand. So when we talk about digitization, we must remember that today IT knowledge is a must-have in 10 to 15 years. If you are not an IT specialist or an IT manager, your value in the market shall be significantly lower. And historically, it just happens so that IT sector does not have a lot of women and girls. And in Kazakhstan, the picture is the same. The situation is changing. However, this year we have created a special association of women in digital industry. And by means of that platform, we propagandize engineering disciplines among girls and women. This is not to say that we only support girls dealing with the IT. This is a stereotype. You see, when we talk about technological industry, we imply anything to deal with digitalization and IT. So please not be afraid to send your daughters to engineering institutes. For example, my daughter is an aerospace engineer in future, and it was myself who initiated her into fundamental disciplines. And another interesting scope of activity, that is the quoting. One of the Techno women scopes of activity is an HR pool, inclusive of girls and women. We want to expand that HR pool, make it more massive. We want to involve and attract talented girls. Those girls at present are involved in operational activities and they do not manifest themselves in the public sphere, so we need to popularize such persons. This is it. Thank you. Wonderful. Ideal speaker. Ideal speaker. Now, before we discuss banking sector, I would like to highlight you know, in the past I was the assets manager in the finance ministry, and I remember we had 15 contestants coming to our office to occupy the position of the lead IT specialist. So out of those 12 candidacies, only one of them was a girl. She was well positioned, well certified, but the commission voted for a guy. This is a stereotype which is still an integral part of our mentality. The thing is, one of the concerns was how will that girl, if we employ her, survive in an IT department where we have only men? So I thank all speakers for promoting women to new professions. Now allow me to switch over to the banking sector. We always repeat that the banking sector is the blood distribution system that needs to promptly react to all domestic and international changes. So my question goes to Dauren. Can we discuss with you you already have your own big data. How does the small and the middle business look like today? Yesterday, we're leaders in work with small and average companies. We have a lot of big data. And before I start, I wanted to express my gratitude to your own self, because you supported my inclusion of a male creature into this talk about women's future. Be advised that all of my colleagues contribute actively into the development of the female business. Together with ASEM, we work on digital credits and loans. Together with her, we have already designed 2 products. Together with Yerbol, we also performed a number of projects. So today we have our small and average business portfolio growing telegraphically. Probably we still need a lot to be done together with Alma, because statistics, her agency, I would like to listen to Alma's presentation. So I have written down some key statistics. Number 1, as has been already said, that men dominate in Halyk, but at the same time 52% of loans and credits are given to women. I will explain why. Because our statistical picture is smaller, is different, because women get better salaries. If to pay attention to the NPO indicators from bankers, we can pay attention that we get 59% of men and 41% of women. Another good statistical figure, that is the breakdown by industries. Women prefer to work in commerce, service, and rent business. Men prefer agriculture, service, and trade. At the same time, we have another statistical picture. At the previous event, we shared some results of a public poll, which shows that 53% of small companies are governed by women. 26% of average businesses are run by women. So the public poll was done by girls. The question was, how can we increase the number of women involved in small and average business? And the answer was that women are careful. They approach risks with precautions. And many women reach a certain margin of profitability, and they do not want to jump any higher for the sake of not losing what they already have conquered. Second, it's pretty much hard to collaborate with women. And recently I tried to recollect when in Kazakhstan we had a situation when women created big companies. No such examples I found, but today I know a lot of women are in charge of big projects. Another statistical picture is that the average receipt paid by men is higher than a receipt paid by women. If you take the category of 20 to 30 years of age, there you have the domination of men. So, as follows from statistics, younger women are less active than men. I will make an explanation as a woman. 40 years is the age when a woman reaches the active phase. Basically, children have grown up. Husband is okay. A woman can progress based on that. Together with McKinsey, we researched the market outside the banking sector, and we asked the audience just one question: what motivates women to deal with the business activity? And the majority of women answered that they were dealing with some business activities because they had complicated life circumstances. They had to look for some alternatives. Quite a few of them do business for pleasure. And there is a separate stratum of women. We call them mature players, women who love the process itself. I remember about the time limitations. In Halyk Bank in 2018, we launched a new program of crediting the female entrepreneurial activities. Interest rate is only 5% and it is given for 7 years. The program has manifested itself in all the best ways possible. The capital payout is 0.3%. Thank you very much. Tauren has been very modest while reporting about the results of this program. If I'm not mistaken, in the first 6 months we distributed the first billion Kazakh tenge, and in 6 months the payout was commenced. Yes, today this is a continuous program. It's a permanent establishment today. Well, thank you very much. Tauren has just said that EBRD, that we could enjoy more active cooperation with EBRD by means of various projects. Alma Kasimova is here, the next participant of our panel discussion. I'm addressing Alma. Today we are talking about global initiatives of international organizations, international donors. We are discussing the support to female entrepreneurial activity, not only in Central Asia. Your organization is the leader in that sector, so the floor is yours. Please report to us about open questions. What are the problems associated with the female entrepreneurial activity? Maybe you have some critical thoughts about that. Thank you very much, Lazat. EBRD supports small and medium business. We have been supporting such companies in Kazakhstan for more than 20 years, and we have a complex approach to support. That is a combination of financial and non-financial instruments. That is the work not only at the level of the end beneficiary. We work on demand and supply. We contract professional consultancies. We educate business people, allocate credit lines. I think I should tell more about instruments to involve women in business activities and digitization. So one of our first strategic priorities is the digitization. Individual business project is the standard instrument. We reimburse 50% of the project cost. And if that's a woman, then we reimburse up to 75%. All the projects are aimed at the business development in practically all sectors of economy. This is a pretty old program. Today we are launching some new initiatives. Probably you have heard about our initiative we call mentorship or tutorship. Business community of women needs more solidarity compared to the male business community. That's why we do some networking. In the period of 9 months, a woman can attract an experienced mentor, a man or a woman, it does not matter, and they can work on the business affairs, on some macro affairs. They can work on maintaining the balance between personal life and professional life. So this is a pretty much successful program, I gotta tell you. And we want to expand it this year because it enjoys demand from small businesses. They pay interest to that. So today we have a new program. We call it Micro Mentor. It was designed in the USA. Earlier in Kazakhstan, we had Mercy Corps operating, and they designed the methodology for virtual mentoring. This program today covers approximately 180 countries. Users can choose a language, including Russian or Kazakh language, and stage by stage, we are penetrating the international community. Also, we are launching a new program. We call it Star Venture. This is a startup platform. Together with international partners, we assess various projects. Astana Hub is one of the major partners of ours in this initiative. And in addition to that, as a bank, we are trying to digitize ourselves. In the times of pandemic, we have digitized all application processes, application submission processes, digitizing a great number of various documents. We are trying to grow greener and greener. A year ago, we fulfilled a micro mentor program oriented on women in micro businesses. And this year, we have the augmented initiation program for medium businesses. This is, in virtue, a growth program. You see, when women reach a certain top margin, after that, they have quite natural fears or some objective barriers, so we help such women to break through such barriers. This is what we call the acceleration program. It starts from the SWOT analysis. Ernst & Young is our partner in doing the analytics of the companies. So we are not drawing a distinct separation line between men and women, but be advised, women enjoy far more lighter conditions. You have talked about a project that was commissioned 20 years ago. I mean, support to female entrepreneurial activity. So in the last 20 years, we can see that today female entrepreneurial activity is an objective phenomenon. I think in the continent of Eurasia, our indicators are the highest. I thank you very much. I hope that today's platform gives opportunity for all of us to seek out new ways for the resolution of seemingly clear and transparent problems. But the thing is, things we are discussing are very sophisticated and refined. We are talking about the women in business. And as Dauren says, he hasn't seen any examples when two business women would found a big company. But at the level of education, at the level of team building, women can be pretty much effective. I thank you very much. I hope that the chemistry between our banks and EBRD will only facilitate the growth of female business from micro level to greater level. So the last speaker now. The floor is given to the last speaker.
Всем строгий учитель, судя по этим комментариям.
So judging by the comments that are incoming, Yerbal Damu has initially been indeed a quasi-state institution that exercises really powerful support to entrepreneurships. It's like a cradle to small and medium business in Kazakhstan that has been shaped by the fund. When I arrived at Atomican, my first suggestion to our leadership was to open the Damu website and look at the tools that they are offering and see the experience that they have accumulated. And that would be our starting point. From that stage, we should be going up. Thank you for passing me the floor. Overall measures of state support can be enjoyed by women along with other entrepreneurs. Every second entrepreneur covered by state aid is a female entrepreneur. Out of 59,000 supported projects, 46% is the segment of female entrepreneurship. Talking about the programs, I would like to know that together with international financial institutions, we're implementing several programs. Together with EBRD, we implemented Women in Business program, and the segment of female entrepreneurship had not to exceed 25%. Money was sent to second-tier banks to finance at least 30% of female entrepreneurship at the regional level. Together with local executive bodies, we finance several programs. For instance, Menka-Sipker-Bolamin in Shymkent, where we support a certain share of female entrepreneurship, as well as the Altenkime program in Aktobe region. The major areas, as colleagues have said, due to the fact that the check is relatively small in female entrepreneurs, and 39 to 40 years is the average age. So the major goal to invest is not for turnover money. It's mainly education, healthcare, and trade, and some part in processing enterprises. And we see a transition to energy-intensive projects as well. Distinguished audience, dear participants of our express discussion, it's indeed express because we have discussed all of our agenda points. Everyone has voiced their position, and I would like to wrap up this discussion by addressing not only you, but our audience who are interested to today's session. About 5 years ago, the Big Four, one of the Big Four, conducted a global survey. And the final expert opinion was that within the next 3 decades, 80% of global economy will be in female hands. I think the platforms like ours will be the proponents